This is Trainslation, presented by Robert Murray,
Luke Dickinson,
Nicole Basin,
and Gabby Daly.
We're the Translation group. Welcome back to Trainslation. First, I'm going to introduce you to a couple of the components. First, we're going to talk about the 70S ribosome. The 70S ribosome is made up of the 30S subunit and the 50S subunit. For the purpose of this demonstration, the 50S subunit will be off as translation occurs in the middle of the two subunits. The E site is actually located on the 50S subunit. However, we're going to put on the 30S subunit so that you can easily see it during the demonstration. The P site and the A site are located on the 30S subunit. The mRNA, starting with the 5' end and ending with the 3' end, is going to go from left to right across the screen. The tRNAs will be charged with their appropriate amino acid located on the 3' end of the tRNA, and the anti-codon loop will be represented by the 3 codons you see on the bottom. The abbreviated secondary structure will be represented by this gray Lego. Translation factors will be introduced during the appropriate process of translation. Cut.
In order for translation to occur, the tRNA must first be charged. An amino acyl group is esterified on the C3 of the terminal adenylate of the 3' end of the tRNA. This is an ATP-dependent reaction catalyzed by amino acyl synthesis. The correct aminoacylation is critical for the fidelity of translation. Now that we have talked about charging the tRNA, we can move into a discussion on how all these tRNAs will come together in the ribosome to translate mRNA into protein. Polypeptides are synthesized from the N-terminus to the C-terminus. Before the synthesis can occur, the initiation complex must form first.
Cut.
Eukaryotes, the initiation complex starts formation when the initiation factors IF3, IF1, and mRNA bind to the 30S subunit. IF3 binds to the P site in the 30S subunit and prevents the 30S and 50S subunits of the ribosome from combining prematurely, while IF1 binds to the A site and stimulates activity of both IF3 and IF2. GTP bound IF2 and formylmethionine tRNA bind to the IF1, IF3, mRNA, and 30S complex. This complex is now primed for interaction with the 50S subunit. The total complex combines with the 50S subunit. The GTP molecule bound to IF2 is hydrolyzed, and IF1, IF2, and IF3 leave the ribosome. Now elongation of prokaryotic protein synthesis can begin.
or elongation, consists of the initiation complex, an amino acyl tRNA that is specified by the next codon in the mRNA, 3 elongation factors, EFTU, EFTS, and EFG, and GTP, which works to alter the conformation of the various elongation factors. There are 4 steps for elongation. In the first step, the second amino acyl tRNA will bind to the EFTU GTP complex. This newly formed complex will then bind to the A site of the 70S subunit initiation complex.
Okay.
Upon binding, the GTP is hydrolyzed and the new EFTU GDP complex is released. A new EFTU GTP is then regenerated. In the second step, the F-MET group from the tRNA in the P site moves to the amino acid group on the second amino acyl tRNA in the A site. The peptide bond formation between these two is catalyzed by peptidyltransferase. The end result of this second step is a dipeptidyl tRNA in the A site and a deacylated tRNA in the P site.
Okay.
In the third step, the hydrolysis of GTP from the EFG GTP complex allows the ribosome to move one codon in the 3' direction of the mRNA. The dipeptidyl tRNA in the A site moves to the P site, and the deacylated tRNA in the P site moves to the E site.
Okay.
In the fourth and final step, a new peptidyl tRNA enters into the A site.
Cut.
This results in the release of the deacylated tRNA from the E site. This process of elongation will continue until a termination codon reaches the A site to signal termination.
Cut. Cut. Yeah. Okay. Cut. Cut. Cut.
Lucky duck.
Cut.
Once the termination codon occupies the A site, release factors RF1 and RF2 bind to the UAA codon sequence. Once RF1 or RF2 have bound to the termination codon, water is then allowed into the active site. The O, the oxygen, in water forms a nucleophilic attack on the ester bond between the polypeptide and the peptidyl tRNA. The hydrolysis of this bond releases the peptide. Once the polypeptide has been released, the 70S is dissociated into its subunits. That's like the final.
There are many products of translation. Wolfpack Pride is one of them.
My state.